Welcome back to AWS On Air. We are here with another launch. They're back to back to back this afternoon. My name is Gigi Behringer. I'm one of your AWS On Air hosts here in New York City for the New York Summit with my dear friend, who I started this morning with and I'm going to end the day with.
There we go.
Do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Hey everyone, my name is Adrian San Miguel. I am a principal partner enterprise architect. Still not a bot, working on not being three platypi in a trench coat. Hanging out with Gigi again, talking shop, and I understand we're going to be covering something pretty interesting. I understand that we are going to potentially be doing something super live. Is that about accurate? Would you mind introducing yourself and letting us know how many pets you may have at home?
Great. I'm John Brock. I'm a principal product manager here at AWS. And I lead the product team for a brand new product that we launched today, AWS App Studio.
Amazing.
And excited to show it here today.
That sounds like he has 5 pets at home.
That sounds like he has lots of pets.
Well,
and it's his team. It's his product team.
There's actually 2 pets at home.
Okay.
1 giant schnauzer.
Oh.
70 pounds.
Oh, that's amazing.
That is giant.
A real troublemaker.
I really like giant schnauzers, so that's actually fantastic.
And the second
so
is
cool.
the second is a 27-pound golden doodle.
Some good-sized dogs. I did see a giant schnauzer. Before we move on to anything AWS related, the Doggist, which is a really awesome Instagram. It's a really awesome Instagram about New York City dogs. Recently posted a giant schnauzer and was talking about how rare they are, especially in the city, and they are so cool. Highly recommend checking out the Instagram, and a shameless plug that I will hope to use to get my own dog on it one day. But in the meantime, we do have a product launch. It launched 2 hours ago. You've had a really pleasant, easy, relaxing day.
Super low-key.
Not at all.
Low-key. Well, you can't lie to the camera, I guess. Can you tell us about it? Tell us why you're excited about it.
Sure. So AWS App Studio is a brand new generative AI-powered service from AWS that makes it easy and fast to build applications for your enterprise.
Wow.
So these are business applications that we use every single day. And typically, most companies haven't prioritized modernization efforts for those. They don't have enough developers to rebuild them. They don't maybe know the language that they're written in even. And so they need a tool to make it easier for more people in their organization to build apps. And so that's what we've delivered.
Amazing.
Wow.
That sounds so simple yet so complex. I know customers, as I used to be a solutions architect, I feel like we used to talk about modernizing apps all the time for different types of companies. Can you give a concrete example of a customer that you're excited about? Yeah,
one example, there's so many. We're working with a company and can't say the exact name.
That's okay.
But they do software and hardware for first responders, so primarily fire departments. And they're modernizing fire departments by converting their legacy radios into voice over IP transponders, cellular devices, kind of walkie-talkie, push-to-talk models, so that wherever you are in the city, even if you're traveling, you can still be connected to your radio. I don't know if you want to carry your fire radio when you go to vacation, but the really value prop for their departments is that these radios are so much more inexpensive, and the old radios have a lot of compatibility issues, and it's just really tough. And they build this transponder and software and cables and connectors to modernize that. But managing all that's really, really painful and tedious. And so they built a full inventory management system with App Studio that tracks all the radios, associates it with customer data that may live in their CRM. And then when they need to send out new parts, they immediately go to that new app built with App Studio, select the right part, get the right compatible part, and are able to ship it.
Wow.
All with this new I want to say feature, but it's not. It's a full service.
It's a full-on service.
It's a full-on service.
And
my brain froze for a second.
Yeah, my brain is freezing too, because just wrapping my head around it, it's just one of those things where
it's really cool.
You think of an old piece of hardware, like chat. Like, I don't know about you, when I was a kid, I would build transistor radios, just all sorts of kit, and be able to just compress that, modernize it so you don't have to take the whole rig with you. That's
It's a big deal.
It's revolutionary. There's no other way to put it.
Right.
I would love to see what this looks like.
Me too.
In the console, I would love to see what this looks like for, someone brand new to it. Where are we starting? Where can we find it? And then how do we get going on that? I do think first, though, can you explain, if you were to get started on this, what's your knowledge base, bare minimum?
Yeah, so we've built this product to enable what we call the technical professional.
Okay.
So you don't need to know full stack software engineering. You don't need to be a professional developer to build a full stack app on AWS now. And so kind of the bar, kind of the skill level that we recommend is that you're able to understand, maybe not right from scratch, but understand a line or two of JavaScript. And so maybe if you can reason about a simple Boolean operator, for example, or you can write a simple conditional statement, you can use this product. And it'll be a full stack app, written in real code, deployed to serverless AWS technology, and the generative AI capabilities generate tens of thousands of lines of code under the scenes for you, and you don't even have to see it.
That's very cool. Okay. Are you ready?
I am super ready.
I'm ready. Let's see it. Let's dive into it. We're going to first pull up, I think, what is this? The AWS App Studio. This is just your plain hub. And this is a website that looks like it's an AWS website, but is this in the console?
It's not in the console. So definitely we hear from our customers very strongly that IT governance and visibility is really important for a tool like this, because apps built throughout your organization may lead to app sprawl, may lead to data access concerns. And so, we want to make sure from a customer-obsessed point of view that we give IT visibility into what's being done inside their organization. And so you do enable this and do some administrative controls from the console. But this property, this hub that we're looking at here, is fully off console, because those technical professionals that we're enabling now, they don't use the AWS console. They don't have access.
That's a fair point.
They don't
fair point, John.
They don't know what a DynamoDB is, or a Lambda.
In fairness, neither do I. Okay, just cards on the table.
We just slip him notes under the table, literally.
He's going to read anything on a teleprompter.
Yeah. Don't mind us.
The advantage of this is it is a AWS website. We run it. It's a console experience, not in AWS console, but you log into this using your standard corporate identity.
Okay.
So, in Amazon, we have our own. Other customers use Okta or Ping or OneLogin or, all sorts of Active Directory services. You don't have to remember new credentials or anything. You just log in with your standard corporate credentials.
Got it.
One less thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
All right.
And then what?
So here we are in the Builder Hub.
Mm-hmm.
We see a few extra things in here because I'm also an admin. It happens to be for this instance.
Okay.
So you see the admin kind of functionality at the top. This allows me to define who can use the product as an admin, who can be a builder, who can use apps published with this product. I can also pre-approve connectors to data sources. So I can connect to my Aurora, my Redshift, my RDS, my S3, my Lambdas, and I can set up granular security policies for those connections so that what the builder can use inside their product matches my expectation, right? So I can really control what data is being accessed and modified and updated by setting up these granular security policies. But then as a builder, I log in here, I land in the Builder Hub. I can see the applications that I built myself. I can see other applications that have been shared with me. But we can build an app from scratch. And here we need a little participation. And just to prove that it's a live demo, which I was advised not to do, we're going to try it.
We are the, I think, epicenter of live demos at AWS.
Yeah, we're a little on the Maverick side of that. We encourage
We love
it.
a live demo.
Great.
Yes. So you said you need some recommendations on what we want to build.
Yeah, that's right. So on the left here, you see that we have a little input for a prompt. This allows us to describe the app we want to build. If we're out of ideas and the day's just been too long and we have no creativity left, there's a bunch of samples on the right that we can start from.
Got it.
But I'm guessing we have a few more interesting ideas that we can think of at this table.
Let's see. Is there anyone in the chat? We're going to give the chat an opportunity here. I'm watching.
Me too.
But if not, we did tell Adrian he was required to be creative this afternoon. We did put that input into the robot.
Well, the Adrian robot is kind of indexing on the IT inventory management. That was the first thing that popped into my head. Look, hey, help me understand the total inventory that I have of a Linux OS that is running this certain version of a library and is capable of hosting a lap stack. Just something that every single partner that I ever speak to, they struggle, and I do emphasize struggle.
Could you zoom in a little bit? My eyes are just exhausted today also
all
when
good.
you get the chance.
Yep. They stress the criticality of being able to know exactly what's running where, how, and then contextualize specifically what they're looking for to avoid just getting 20 pages of stuff that they got to still sort through and try to figure out. That's the immediate thing that comes to mind.
All right, so he took everything you just said and turned it into, as a sysadmin, I want to track down software versions for my IT and software services team. We should record the versions of the software and send notifications to owners via email when the versions became outdated.
Yes, that's exactly it. Thank you for taking operator speak into plain English. I appreciate it.
That was a really good translation.
That was a fantastic translation.
It's the Brock LM. It's a brand new model.
Is it available in Bedrock yet?
Not quite.
Coming
Private
soon.
beta.
Oh, there we go.
Private beta needs to be accepted.
All right, so I just hit...
Venmo's accepted for the private beta.
I just hit send here.
Okay.
From here, what you're looking at is a whole cloud development environment that we spin up and create for you as the builder. This is also where our generative AI agents run and execute. So the first step they're going to do is look at that prompt, and they're going to try to distill the requirements for your application from that prompt. Optionally, before we got started, you could select an existing data store if you wanted to pull that into the app. Because we were creating something off the cuff, we don't have existing data. So we just need to create a brand new app, and we need to store net data. And so App Studio is going to enable us to do that. And so what we'll do is just take a look at the requirements that this generated. So on the right, you can see from that prompt, we generated some use cases. So as an admin, I want to view the list of all tracked software and their versions. As an admin, I want to add new software that can be tracked. As an admin, I want to update the versions. As an owner, I want to receive email notifications. Like, these are the jobs to be done that a product manager or a consultant or a project manager would spend hours creating. We eliminate that need, and we distill them into a way that the app can be generated from them. We get down here even more granular. We talk about user flows through the app. So we talk about what an admin's going to do, what a user's going to do, and this informs everything that's eventually going to end up in that generated app. And then the data source. So this is software. We're tracking software and software versions. If we wanted to, we could describe a change on the left and revise the requirement. So if it missed something or there was a requirement we wanted to add, we could do that. I think for the sake of time today, this is kind of the base version of what Adrian described.
And so,
I could look at the README. We generate a README for you, so you don't have to type all this out, right? This tells you exactly what the app does, key features, what the usage is, and then all I have to do is hit Generate App. And so what we do through this series and this process is distill those requirements from the prompt, generate the README, and then use all that contextual data and optionally data sources that you've selected and generate this full stack app for you. And then once it's generated, it's available in this visual builder experience. And so from here, you can edit the app, or you can immediately preview. So let's go ahead, and we're just going to, since we're doing this live, we're just going to preview it immediately.
Perfect.
Okay.
So we've done no changes, no modifications, and this is just the first run of the app that it generated. Took about 60 seconds end to end from a prompt to a running app. And so now you've got a full stack app. This is a React-based front end, TypeScript backend, Nest.js under the covers. As a builder, I don't need to worry about any of that. But it's a real app just like a developer would write. But I didn't have to know any software development skills to create this app. And so as you can see here, we land, we get the software table. So this is a table view of all the software versions in our system. We scroll over. Maybe we want to make updates. So there's a really simple CRUD screen, that makes it super easy to modify any of the data that sits in my IT stack, if you will. So we could also add some new software versions. So maybe we call this, the version 2.3.4.5 name. We'll say this is the Schnauzer stack. It's a tongue twister. I don't even know if I'm writing that correctly, but let's say this is, JTest example.com. And we can give a notified date. So this is that notification date that we talked about before. And when we submit this is going to save. And if we look at that software table, you can see that we've immediately stored this data row into our database. And just as a quick reminder, this is just like a local dev environment. So it's not actually updating your data in production live. This is a fully encapsulated local experience that allows you to test your application before you deploy it. And then we offer a full CI/CD pipeline that allows you to deploy version changes to a test and then ultimately a production environment. And those environments are running on standard AWS serverless technology.
Very cool. So you can choose to have this launched in your AWS environment. Could you go into that AWS environment and if you wanted to change it, do you have to go through App Studio if you want to make any changes to the app? Or once it's fully launched, can you make those changes in your normal AWS functioning?
Yeah, great question. So one of the real value propositions for App Studio is that we fully manage these applications and all the infrastructure to run them.
Okay.
So the applications themselves are deployed into an account and into a service environment that we host and manage. So my engineering team is carrying the pager for the apps that you publish. So you don't need a whole DevOps team to run your applications anymore.
Okay.
And so you don't have direct access to the code today. You do come to our visual building experience so that you can make changes and modifications to the application. But I think for your audience, the thing that's really interesting here is that while we generated this, there was no code, nothing that you had to touch, right, to get this first run, which is pretty close to what we described, I think. At every point, whether it be in the UI, the presentation layer, the business logic, or the data model, it's very simple to add small customizations using JavaScript. And so as a technical professional, if you can reason about that 1 or 2 line of JavaScript, or you're a developer looking to use this product, you don't have to learn a new custom language or a DSL or a software description language that doesn't make sense, right? So you can see that here in the product. We may write a conditional statement to determine when this is visible.
Okay.
Or we may conditionally hide certain elements depending on your specific requirements for your app. The product itself is oriented around these 3 modes: pages, automations, and data.
Okay.
So this corresponds to your UI pages, your business logic, and the data model. So your business logic here, you can see we had the update form and the add hardware form. These are APIs. Think of these as APIs, but they're multi-step composite APIs or business logic flows. So in this flow that's connected to our form that we generated, this is going to save that record, and then it's going to send an email to either the manager or the owner of that software stack so that they can go review it, go approve it, go upgrade the library after it expires, something like this. This was all suggested, though, by the generative AI capabilities within the product.
That's cool. That's a little dense. It took me a second. That's super cool.
Yeah, this is kind of a showstopper. I mean, to be able to empower a technical professional that can, just like me, meander their way through clacking together a couple lines of Java.
Yeah.
To be able to go from idea to functioning app, point it to your data source, and go and actually be able to get meaningful insights to it, that's huge. I cannot count the number of times in the last month I've had somebody, a business counterpart, say, I got an idea for a generative AI app, and here's my idea, but I don't know where to get started. I'm not a prompt engineer. I don't know how to do X, Y, Z. Handing the reins over to them for this is huge. That's less of a technical burden on, even just internally, on my team and the teams that I work with. It also goes so far as to empower the business users in this particular example to go and not wait for us. They can go and at least get started. They need help refining. Yeah, absolutely, we'll help you out. But to get that first good step forward, idea to prod in a couple of minutes, it's kind of crazy.
It's actually insane.
Yeah, it is.
I'm curious. So when we look at this big picture and we say, like, right, this could empower someone so easily, and then you kind of drop in that there is some aspect of generative AI on the back end, making this more productive and helping come up with these ideas. Can you give a sense of, at a really big scale, how that generative AI is increasing the impact that someone could have here?
Sure. So I think there's a few different aspects. You saw one of the main ones, which is our getting started experience. So that really takes that prompt, combines it with contextual data about your data sources, the data schema, generate those requirements, and then ultimately generate this app. There's a lot of back-end systems that we've implemented to build these capabilities with, but it all starts with Bedrock. So we built this product on Bedrock. We're using multiple models under the scenes. And what I would say is it's a very agentic type of workflow where there's multiple different Gen AI processes or agents working in concert together to complete certain tasks. The easiest example to demonstrate is that when we previewed this app, you see a bunch of sample data generated in here. And that helps me test my application without creating a bunch of random data myself. Well, that's one particular agent that's been tuned to generate sample data that fits a schema.
Okay.
But that's a specific task. And for that task, we also offer that within the product. So on the top right, you can see a button that says generate more sample data.
That's cool.
And so you don't even know that this is generative AI under the scenes or that we're invoking a Bedrock-based agentic flow. But you can do that directly from the UI as well. And so we use that, and we can reuse it in our getting started experience because of the way we're composing and having these agents work together.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Adrian's mind is blown.
Yeah, it's blown. Like,
You keep making funny faces.
I'm making funny faces because the little hamster wheel's going. I'm running out of grease at this point. But in all seriousness, the ability to just get started and remove that undifferentiated heavy lifting from folks, it's one of those things that we as technologists, I've made mention of this before today, we lose sight of that sometimes. It's like, oh, just go build a thing, go run a CloudFormation, have a sandwich. Great, but if you don't do this every day, that's a lift. Hey, go customize these Terraform variables. That's a lift. To be able to go to any entity, any individual in the company and say, hey, here are your guardrails or your parameters, go build something and let's go experiment. This is, it cannot be understated that being able to build something like this and then know and have the warm and fuzzies about the data being kept secure and having granular access control, it takes the mystery out of it. You don't need to go and wait for a group of specialist individuals to go help you build and deploy. You could just go off on your own, feed it the data, and tune as you go. That's
AM said it earlier, we're really meeting people where they're at.
Exactly.
And that is obviously a principle of AWS when it comes to all of our launches. I said this earlier, and I say it over and over, but I love it. I love that we're holding on to these principles, and we're meeting people where they're at. We're giving, accessibility to this type of functionality in different ways that, does make a really big impact on their job function.
Yeah, this is legitimately something that I can really appreciate. I work with a lot of different partners in shapes and sizes, and many of them are working with customers that have never seen cloud. The advent of AI is just a complete mystery to them. But to be able to almost to a very high degree, oversimplify and have something that can be easily consumed and explained and workflowed. This is something that, exactly to your point, meeting them where they are, I think it's going to pay not only dividends for them, but for the end business. This is going to empower everybody to go out and solve problems. I gotta say, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well done, and congratulations.
Thank you. We're really excited, and excited to see what customers build with the product and the feedback that we get. And it's been a busy day, but appreciate the time and appreciate you having me on the show today.
Of course, but before we lose you, where can people learn more? Where can people get going? Where is all the stuff online?
Absolutely. So there's going to be a few links dropped into the chat.
Okay.
But from AWS's landing page, I believe it's aws.amazon.com/app-studio.
Okay.
And that gives you sort of all the high-level messaging points and all the features and an overview about the pricing. And I'll kind of leave a teaser that it's very disruptive pricing model in this industry. So
that is a teaser.
I'd leave that as an exercise for the reader to go investigate, but we're pretty excited about that as well.
Fantastic.
That has links to the console where you can enable it and learn more, get started, go through some tutorials.
Great. Well, thank you again so much, and congratulations. Thank you all for watching. We'll be right back.